So let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so we've got composition 2. If you look, this is the post explaining the lesson plan for today. We're going to watch a YouTube video, a couple YouTube videos, and then you're going to write a letter to a school official and tell him or her one thing you would like to see improved at your school. Your letter must include 5 components. It must include a date, salutation, body, closing, and signature. And we'll go over those. I think one of the videos explains what those are. Furthermore, your letter must be formal. So pay attention to your vocabulary or word choice and complexity or sentence length. So you shouldn't be having a bunch of short sentences. You need more complex, longer sentences. You should sound intelligent and sophisticated. Also, you should avoid contractions and abbreviations like don't or haven't. You will submit your letter using the assignment called Developing Writing Skills, Writing Letters, which is posted under the Classwork tab on the Google Classroom. It's also right here if you need to find it. You must submit your letter before midnight, Sunday, July 12th. If you have any questions, please shoot him an email and he'll respond to your emails this evening. One last thing, he misses you and you are loved. So I would, even if you don't have any questions, I'm sure Mr. Reed would love and appreciate to hear a get well message from you in an email. So if you want to send him an email just to say get well, that would be much appreciated. So let's go ahead. We're going to start with letter writing. And I'm going to actually stop sharing for a second and then reshare. I am going to call on Devin. Devin, what is the first part of a letter?
The date.
Excellent. Excellent. Good work. Let's hear from Eve. Eve, what is the second part of the letter?
The greeting.
Very good. The greeting or salutation. Excellent. Sailor, what is the third part of a letter?
The body.
Excellent. Very good. The body, that's probably the most important part of the letter. Emily, what is the fourth part of a letter?
The closing.
Very good. Very good. And let's hear from Caleb. What is the fifth part of the letter?
The complexity.
The what?
The complexity.
Well, there are 5 parts. We had date.
Oh, signature. That's my fault.
Signature. Yes. No, that's all right. So we've got the 5 parts of our letter, and that's what we're going to include in our letters. Now there's some things we're going to learn about the difference between formal versus informal. And we said that this is going to be a formal letter. So pay close attention to what they say about formal letters. All right. I'm going to share my screen again. So there were several suggestions that they mentioned when writing formally versus informally. Does anyone have or remember a suggestion that we could use to write more formal letters? There were at least like 4 that I know for sure that they mentioned. Anybody?
Don't use words like don't. I don't remember the word for it, but.
Excellent. So avoid contractions or abbreviations. Don't use don't. Excellent. Anyone else? What's something else that we can do to make our letters more formal? What about when it comes to our sentences? So you want to remember whether they should be long or short?
I think it was like making it shorter, wasn't it? Or
Not short. Shorter would be a more informal letter.
longer.
So if we want longer, more complex sentences, so we need to use sentence structures that are longer and more complex. There was another one that had to do with our word choice. Should we use like slang words, or should
No.
we use? Okay, no, not slang words. Okay, there was one more that they mentioned. Anyone remember what it was?
Don't use passive structure.
Okay, very good. Excellent. So let's go to our assignment, and we're just going to kind of walk through this together a little bit to get you started. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so we've got our assignment here. You're going to find your assignment under classwork tab. You should have a link here to click on this Google Doc that will start your assignment. So go ahead and open that up. And then it gives you the directions there for the assignment. Write a letter to your school official. Tell him or her one thing you would like to see improved at your school. Your letter must include the 5 components of a letter, which we talked about were date, salutation, body, closing, and signature. We'll go over those again real quick just to make sure you know what they are. Finally, your letter must be formal. So pay attention to your vocabulary, your word choice, and the complexity, the sentence length. You should sound intelligent and sophisticated. So you're not writing like a little short text to your best friend. Also, you should avoid contractions and abbreviations. So the first part of the letter is the date. So go ahead and put today's date on there. Today is July 6th, 2020. Now some letters, Deanne mentioned this, Mrs. Votes mentioned this earlier. Some letters include an address to the person that you're writing this letter to, right below the date. So we don't have to include that. Mr. Reed did not ask for an address here, but if you'd like to, look up your school district office. You could write the address of your school if you're writing to someone in administration at your school, like the principal or the counselor. But what's the next part of our letter after the date?
Salutations.
Excellent. The salutation. Did we say that dear so-and-so, is that a good salutation for a formal letter? Veronica, what do you think? Do you think dear so-and-so is a good opening for our formal letter?
I don't know.
No? Okay, what do you think would be a better opener? Who's someone else we haven't heard from yet? I think we've heard from just about everybody. Sailor, do you have any ideas on a good formal salutation?
I was just gonna go with the like dear so and so one.
Okay. I'll tell you what, we could, especially if you know the person who you're writing to. You could say dear so-and-so if you absolutely wanted to. A good one that we talked about in the last class, if you don't know who you're writing to whom it may concern. That could be a good one if you don't know the name of the person that you're writing to. Then you need your body, which he doesn't list a requirement for length for the body, but I'm going to go ahead and say that a minimum of 2 paragraphs is needed to get your point across. So 2 paragraphs, which are about 4 to 6 sentences in length. So you should have a total of about 8 to 12 sentences. What comes after the body? Devin, what comes after the body?
The closing.
And what would you recommend for a good formal closing?
I don't know.
Well, we looked them up in Google the last class. The best formal closings, they do recommend sincerely, which I would think would be more of a informal letter. But there are several examples here that you could use. I would not use yours truly unless you really know the person, probably. Regards or best regards is a good one. Respectfully. Many thanks. Those are all great formal closings. So use one of those. I'm going to say best regards. And then your signature, which is just going to be typing, literally typing out your name, since we can't actually write it on here. But in a real letter, you would print it out. Probably put your signature a couple spaces below the closing typed out.
Used to be like once, like you did your closing sincerely, and then you left like 4 spaces and to write your name in, and then under that you typed your name, because some people's handwriting is not legible, and so
Right.
underneath the signature was your typed name, and that video didn't say anything about that.
No. So this is a good format, something like this, so that you could leave room for a signature if you wanted to actually write your name in here. But I would leave a little bit of the space between your closing and your signature where it's typed in. So does anyone have any questions about your assignment? Does anyone have any topics that they know that they're gonna write their letter over already? No, still thinking? Okay. Again, if you have any questions, need help with this, we'd be happy to read over your letter for you before you submit it. If you would like to come to study hall today at 1 o'clock, we'll be going over this assignment during study hall. So feel free to join us. If you need help, if you aren't sure what to do or where to begin, come to study hall at 1 o'clock today, and we'll be helping you with this assignment.